The following is for informational purposes only. For medical advice, please see a medical professional.
Welcome to Staying Alive with Margaret and Susy.
Yes, welcome.
In this episode, we're going to cover healthy travel, whether you're close to home going on a hike or on an international flight. We want to cover ways to stick to your routine, finding the transportation mode that's best for your health, getting the help you need if you're traveling, and being realistic about any physical limitations you might have. So that's what we're going to cover. I was thinking that I love to travel, and a lot of seniors start traveling when they're 66. When I was 66, that was March 2020. So travel was put on hold, and we had to really think about how do we do this healthy now. And so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to start with sticking to routines when we travel. So do you want to say anything about that, Susy?
Well, I have, I have challenges when I travel because I have to take prescription medication and I have dietary things that I have to stick to. And I find it challenging sometimes when I'm away from home. Even yesterday, I went on a little road trip with a friend, and they picked a restaurant where there really wasn't anything that I could eat, So, I mean, it can be challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as food goes, I noticed that the mode of transportation completely changes what my needs might be. Like if I'm doing a
Yeah.
car trip, I keep cases of water in the trunk of the car. Like I buy water by the case to make sure I have all the hydration I need. I have a cooler. I pack so much food. Food and water is never a problem for me.
In
And
a car on a car trip.
on a car trip,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, it's challenging though. We were on a train recently, and the train got delayed, and so like maybe a 5 or 6 hour trip turned into an 8 hour trip. And there was only so much train food that I wanted to eat. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And and that impacted me in other ways too. And that was my comfort level.
yeah,
Not be, you got to get up and move around,
mm-hmm,
because sitting for that many hours was just not very good for me.
yeah,
So, yeah, it can be challenging.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's medications. Like
Right.
if you check a bag and put your medications in it and think like Susie did, well, it's only going to be a 3 hour trip, but then it goes on, and you're supposed to
Hmm.
take that med twice a day, and it's in a checked bag. Like you have to
Hmm.
keep your medications with you at all times.
Yes, and I liked your idea that you had when we were talking earlier about making sure you write down your medications, the actual official name of them, so that if you lose your medications, you can get them perhaps wherever you're going.
Oh yes.
Luck,
I
So,
take pictures. I take
yeah,
pictures of
take
the
pictures.
bottles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
But
hard to
write them down
remember the
too, because
names.
what if you lose your phone?
Yeah. Some of the names are so long. It's like, well,
Yeah,
what the heck
yeah.
is
You
that?
want to make sure that you do that. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
And
That's really good.
yeah.
I usually bring special socks with me when I travel. Like I didn't know about that when I was younger. What? People wear compression socks on long flights? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's
Mhm.
something about that that keeps your blood pressure regulated.
Well, I was just reading an article about that this morning, and they say it's not necessarily true for everyone, but it's around venous insufficiency. And so when you're sitting for a long time, it certainly can't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea.
And when you're on the plane, you can't bring liquids through security, and so I have my empty water
Hmm.
bottle, and then as soon
Hmm.
as I get through security, I find the water and I fill it up because what if the the flight is delayed? I don't want to wait till I get on the
Right.
plane to ask for water, and they're not even that. forthcoming with the water on the plane. And so I want to make
Hmm.
sure I stick to my hydration. So I have a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
water bottle that I
Yeah.
bring, and the little food bags with the nuts and all that sort of thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, when I travel I've tried train travel recently, and that's been interesting. Like long distance train travel, they do have good food on those trains, and
That was good.
I recommend signing up for that because they do have good food.
Not on the train I was on,
Yeah, so
but
that
mine was a shorter trip.
yeah, that wasn't it
Yeah.
didn't have like overnight compartments
Right. Right.
and that sort of thing. And for some older friends, like I used to really look down my nose at the idea of cruising. I mean, we know like environmentally there's issues around cruise ships and all kinds of things, but with my friends who are now in their late 80s, 90s who love to travel, that's really all they can do now is a cruise. I mean, I live in a place that's on the coast, so they can get access to a cruise ship, and they just love it so much. I would never begrudge that. It's like never say never, Margaret. Maybe someday I'm going to be going back to a cruise. I don't know, because you got everything you need on that. I remember the last family trip I did with my parents was a cruise, and that's where I realized, and they have great physicians on those cruises. My
Oh,
dad needed care, and he got it. Like there's
yeah.
physicians on the cruises.
Yeah, I have friends that travel quite a bit, and I talked to one of my friends who travels about travel insurance. And travel insurance can cover some things like having to rearrange your reservations, if there's fees involved in that. But it can also cover, like, if you get injured and have to fly home and maybe need some help with that, maybe with a nurse, or you need special place in the airplane, like maybe we're flying coach and you might need to go first class, or yeah, so travel insurance can be helpful and some people do that. I read that it's between 5 and 10% of the cost of your trip, which sort of depends on how expensive your trip is, whether or not that's, something you want to do.
Hmm.
But I think for some people, it's not a bad idea because I've known people who ended up having a blood clot or a broken leg or,
Hmm.
something that really interferes with their trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we happen to have any international listeners, we're going to tell you right now, if you're coming to the United States, get travel insurance.
Yeah, really. Really.
Different countries
Yeah.
have different healthcare plans, and maybe some are more doable for people without health insurance than others.
Yeah. You don't
So,
want to get sick when you're traveling. That's for sure. That's a bummer.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it
It
does happen,
happens.
and
It
it has
happens.
happened. And one time I had a fall when I was in Europe, and that was when I had the first experience of wheelchairs in
Oh,
airports,
yeah.
and they are a wonderful thing. And so
Yeah, for sure.
let's just talk about that for a minute. That there are special assistance services on airlines and also on cruises and also on long distance train trips. I've experienced all of those where, maybe you're at an age where you were only somebody who liked to travel in your car, but you can't be behind the wheel of a car doing that anymore. And so, and maybe you are even handicapped now in some way where you're thinking, oh, I can't travel anymore. But the handicap services on
Yeah.
airplanes, long distance trains, and also on cruises,
Hmm.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there will be people to meet you with a wheelchair from door to door.
There's nothing
I
wrong with using a walker or a wheelchair. I mean, if you need it, you need it. And who wants to be uncomfortable? Sometimes you have to walk a long ways in an airport.
Right.
And sometimes there's a change in your flight and then you have to go further. And yeah, no, I think it's a really good idea
Yeah.
to take advantage of those things. I was always amazed at my mother. She had a hard time walking, but with walker, she could really fly.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, okay.
So so ask for the help you need, and be keeping in mind that there are special services, and on some airlines, well, on all airlines, they will give you a special seat for a price. But
Mhm.
on
Yeah.
some, they will do it for no additional charge to
Right,
make
right.
absolutely certain that you are on the aisle near the bathroom if you need it, or
Hmm.
whatever that need is.
Right,
That
right.
they will help you. So don't
Yeah.
feel that, oh, I'm embarrassed to ask for help, because they're there to help, and they want to help.
I mean, just think about it. People who travel with small children, they have to make all sorts of accommodations for themselves when they're traveling, and everyone goes, "Oh no, I'm going to be sitting next to the baby." But it's no, the mom feels really embarrassed. And it's like, well, different people of different ages have different needs, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a comedian recently who said, I think when we travel, there should be one airplane for the adults and the parents, and one for the children, and put all the children on that plane and say, see you when I get there, sweetie. Like, have fun. And then you can have like the daycare center on there and the nannies, and like, bye. That'd be funny, right?
Yeah.
So, and also be realistic about any physical limitations that you have. I had an experience with that, which I won't go into too much detail, but it's so sad. I had an elderly family member traveling with me for 6 hours to a family funeral, and they didn't want to be a bother. So they drank no water for six
Oh,
hours.
oh
And by the end
gosh.
of the weekend, they had a kidney infection. And I was like,
Oh,
how did you get that? And they said, like, oh, well, I didn't drink any water on our way to the funeral, because I knew we needed to get there right away. And I
oh,
know how frequently I have to go to the bathroom if I'm
yeah.
drinking water, and I didn't want to be a bother. And so,
Oh, yeah.
so you really have to get your needs met. And
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course, like, I was like a 40 something at that point, and so I didn't even know like what it was like for elders, and I didn't even think about it. I didn't, like,
Sure,
I
sure.
had water bottles in the car, and I was able to go hours without going to the bathroom. It never occurred to me that
Right,
they couldn't do that, and so they just weren't
right,
drinking water.
right.
So be
It can
realistic.
be hard too because sometimes it's hard to find a restroom when you're
Hmm.
on a car
Hmm.
trip. That
Yeah.
was really hard. I had to take my mother often, and it was challenging. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
so and so that's a reason why maybe some person might give up car travel, because they know they need the bathroom more often, and so they want
Mhm.
to get on a mode of transportation where they have something
Oh,
else. But
yeah.
the point is, don't give up
Don't
entirely.
give
Don't
up.
give up
Don't give up.
traveling.
Uh-huh.
Enjoy it, and
Yeah,
keep going. And
right.
anything else you want to tell
Well,
people?
yeah, because you want to get out there and see the world if you can.
Sometimes people have special needs. Like, didn't you say you have a friend with a special eye care routine?
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
I
sometimes
do.
you need modified
Yeah, she
devices
has to
to
use
bring with you.
yeah, she has to use eye drops, which aren't a problem. You can take eye drops pretty easily, but she has to use compresses on her eyes, I think 3 times a day. But she told me that you can buy disposable ones in packets so that you don't have to worry about that when you're traveling. Because so I don't remember if it's glaucoma or macular degeneration, all those kind of, even dry eye. Some
Hmm.
people have to have those things with them.
Yeah.
And so you can buy them in a disposable little
Yeah.
packet. Yeah, so that you can
And
still use them.
my friends who are, say, diabetic, they bring their energy bars with them everywhere. I mean, they
Mhm.
have special foods that they have, that they
Right.
know they can take a bite of it and they'll be okay.
And sometimes flight crews have little things. I remember I was on a flight once and then when we got landed, we got delayed getting off the plane, and a guy next to me was a diabetic, and they gave him some orange juice or something, I mean, so they can help you. Don't forget to ask for help.
And don't forget exercise too. Like if you need to get up and walk, you get up and walk. On a plane, like, when they allow you to take the seatbelt sign off, but
right.
Move around, because as a senior, we need to keep moving to keep our circulation going in a way that a younger person might be able to get away.
And you might want to do that in the airport too. I mean, while you're waiting, because otherwise you're sitting, and then you're sitting on the plane, and you sometimes don't know how long that'll be. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, enjoy it.
I think we've covered what we want to cover. And so stay healthy and keep traveling, and just really enjoy your love.
Remember to subscribe and, review our podcast and check out
like us.
And like us, yes. And check out our website, which is Staying Alive with Margaret and Susy, SUSY.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. See you next time.
Yep.
Until next time, we are staying alive.
You've been listening to Staying Alive with Margaret and Susy. This show is hosted by Margaret Cooley and Susy Hymas. To subscribe to our show, leave a comment or ask a question, please visit stayingalivewithmargaretandsusy.com. Our podcast is available on all major podcast platforms. If you've enjoyed our program, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review. Thanks for listening.